When we're trying to decide where we want to go on vacation, all we do is pull up a map, look for a lot of water that we can kayak in, and that's where we're going to go. And that's how we found Burlington, Vermont. I'm Amy.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're Camping Companions.
We decided to break the trip up into 2 days. First stop was Oneida Lake, where we set up camp in our tent and went out to find a place to go have dinner. Boreal's restaurant said they had about an hour wait, but when you have views like this and lawn chairs with wine, you don't mind. So after dinner, we decided to go back and have a campfire under the full moon. Little did we know later that night it was going to downpour. So at 4 a.m., with the water dripping on my forehead, we decided to tear down, throw it away, and continue on our journey. We had to get the park ranger at 4 a.m. to come let us out because it was gated, but we set on off for the last 4 hours of our trip and made it to St. Albans, Vermont.
St. Albans is a cute, walkable little town, very worth stopping by and checking out. We rented an Airbnb while we were in St. Albans that had a living area, a single bedroom, a single bath, and a kitchen where we could cook meals for ourselves and mainly use as a home base while we checked out all that Burlington and the surrounding areas had to offer. We had the most amazing host who baked us fresh bread and left us out a cheese and fruit tray as a welcome.
Burlington is an old historic town with a bunch of cute shops, plenty of restaurants, and a lot to do. It's also right on the water. We stopped to look at the boats. We found a little cool tiki hut restaurant where we got a few drinks and just enjoyed the views, the sunset. It was just amazing. Our host told us about a trail hiking up Smugglers Notch, which is a ski hill in Stowe, Vermont. At the top is Sterling Lake, and it's gorgeous and well worth it once you get to the top. They rated the trip moderate, but it was difficult, so bring your hiking shoes. At the top in the summertime, it's really strange to see the ski lifts and the hills that you would normally see in the wintertime with no snow on. Completely wild. While we were there, Amy found a friend and wouldn't leave her alone. It was so cute. It would just attach itself to her water bottle. This little yellow butterfly was the most adorable thing you've ever wanted to see. About 20 minutes east of Burlington is Montpelier, Vermont, the state capital. It is the least populated state capital in the entire United States. Adorable little town, so cute to check out, well worth the trip. The Colchester Causeway Trail is an 11-mile trail which takes you from Burlington, Vermont to South Hero Island. A lot of people like to bike this trail, but we didn't bring our bikes, so we walked. Halfway through, there's a break so boats can come back and forth through Lake Champlain, where a ferry boat will take you and your bike across the break to go the whole 11 miles. We've told you how we pick our spots in a previous video, which we're linking here below, but we found Lake Willoughby on Pinterest. Well worth the trip. There's some rough roads and some dirt roads, some covered bridges, but when you get there, it is stunning. It was carved out by glaciers in one of the ice ages, and the water is so clear and smooth. We were kayaking this for hours. We saw one motorized boat the entire time we were on the lake. It was just incredible. It was smooth as glass. You have hills on both sides. A little word of caution, on the south end, there's a nudist beach, so just steer clear. There's waterfalls that line each side. While we were checking one out, Amy accidentally flipped her kayak, recovered great, lost her phone, but overall, trip was top notch. From Lake Champlain to the little lakes and ponds all over northern Vermont, you don't have to travel far to find a spot you really want to go kayaking in. There's so many places we just stopped along the road and put our kayaks in and spent the day just enjoying where we found. And after the long day of kayaking, we asked our host, where is the best place to go for an anniversary dinner? They told us the Blue Paddle Bistro, and they did not disappoint.
One day we decided to travel over to Jay Peak. We decided we were going to take a gondola up to the top of the mountain, even though Kevin and I are both afraid of heights. They're okay if they're on solid ground, but anything swinging scares us to death. But once we got to the top, the views were stunning. Everywhere we looked, we had a 360-degree view. The fog started to roll in, though, at the higher elevations, and the higher we got, the less we could see the top of the mountain. Overlooking the landscape, you could see the clouds as they're getting thicker and thicker, and visibility is getting less and less. But once we're there, we take a hike, and the vistas are amazing. As we were waiting to go back down, we were questioning our sanity as the fog rolled in thicker and thicker. When the tram finally arrived, we decided to get in, not before taking one last stop off at the Sky House Deli. On our way back, you could see again that the fog was so thick, and we had no idea where the bottom was.
After a few more dirt roads and covered bridges later, we decided to pull out Google and search what was near us. We happened to cross Big Falls. It's the largest waterfall in the state of Vermont that is not harnessed by hydroelectric power. It's in the town of Troy, Vermont, which isn't very far away from Jay Peak. It was a great way to spend the afternoon and get off those creepy little dirt road paths that they call roads. We keep the kayaks on the roof for one reason alone. When we come across a beautiful lake to paddle in, like Lake Eden in Vermont, we definitely take the stop, drop the kayaks in, and spend the afternoon exploring our world.
While we were doing our research on what we would like to do in Vermont, we discovered that Montreal, Canada was only an hour and a half drive from where we were. So, with our passports in hand, we drove to Montreal, Canada to check out the city. It's very historic and beautiful. There are so many churches and cathedrals, like this one, which is St. Patricks Cathedral. We were able to take a tour of the inside, self-guided. There wasn't anyone there to take us through, but the ceilings and the paintings and the murals and the woodwork were so beautiful. We really enjoyed our visit here. After our visit at St. Patrick, we walked a little bit further and found Chinatown. There were people doing yoga in the street.
Montreal is a really old city, which they built up all around. It's so cool to see the little churches in between these giant skyscrapers. There's so much architecture and old world building just to take a look at. We came across the Notre Dame in Montreal, which is similar to the one over in France. But cobblestone streets, shops lining each row of businesses is just so much to take in. You really do need to spend more than just one day, but we only took a day trip up here, so we tried to squeeze in as much as we possibly could.
Kevin's usually the one that enjoys architecture, but even I could see the beauty everywhere we looked down there. All the stonework, the curved windows, It was truly magnificent.
The architecture and the history goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's just so amazing to see the old blended with the new in Montreal. The narrow streets and the shops and the people just walking around, it really does remind you of something you would see straight out of Europe, and it's right in your own backyard.
We know you've heard about the Loch Ness Monster. Well, there's rumors that there's a lake monster also living in Lake Champlain. His name is Champ. We thought for sure we saw him when we went to Lake Willoughby, but it turned out it was just a tree. It's still fun to play along with the idea that there's a river monster living right under our noses.